Before we dive into this episode, I need to tell you that everything I'm about ready to tell you depends on so much. It depends on where you live, how much or how little sunlight you get, how much or how little shade you get, how much exposure you get, how much your shade characteristics, whether you have 50, 60, 70%, your temperature during the day, the climate, right? What are the ranges? Other climate considerations, your microclimates, your watering practices, how often you water, your humidity levels, the age of the tree, the species of the tree, the growth rate. Is it a young tree? Is it an old tree? Is it a mature tree? What's your fertilizing regimen? What type of fertilizer do you use? How often do you apply it? How often do you repot? What's the health of your roots? What type of soil do you use? Etc., etc., etc. You could actually just go on and on and on. But let's just stop right there, and you can at least consider most of those before you start considering repotting. All right, so here you are. You're finished repotting your tree, and then you think to yourself, well, now what? How long do I leave it in this pot? That's exactly what we're going to cover in this video. Stay tuned. Okay, so the Japanese black pine is on our top 10 trees that we recommend people purchase first. And Japanese black pine, so first of all, I repot everything into a plastic growing pot when we first get started in bonsai. And we are going to leave it in that pot for about 3 to 4, maybe even 5 years. But you get to a point where you're not focusing on growing the tree, you're just growing roots. And in the pictures that you see in the future, in this video, there was times where I should have not went 3 years, where I should have went 2 years. So again, for Japanese black pine, an average good time to leave it in a bonsai pot is 3 to 4 years before you repot a second time.
Maybe hold it up so you can show the roots.
Sure. What became the pot?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, so here we have a Kishu Shinpaku juniper, and its growth rate as a conifer is about the same as the Japanese black pine. There's always going to be some variations, but they're real close. So 3 to 4 years is about real close. 5 years, I'm thinking it'd be way too much, and all you're doing is just building roots at the bottom of your bonsai pot. So why exactly am I doing this video? I'm doing this video because over the years, I've found out, at least for us in our conditions here in Sacramento, California, that there's a lot of times where we leave bonsai growing in a bonsai pot for way too long. And so instead of building the rest of the structure of the tree, all you're doing is growing roots. And in the following pictures, the pictures I'm going to show with these deciduous trees, you'll see that. If you watched any of our other videos, you've seen this tree before. The next pictures you're going to see are just the roots of maples. And this is an Acer palmatum maple. Even though all of the maples grow pretty good, Japanese, the Acer palmatum grows the fastest. So I would say no more than 2 years in a bonsai pot, or it'll break the pot. Okay, this is a wisteria. It's the fastest growing tree in the garden. This was done by one of our, well, it's actually a graduate, Ken Vanderveld. He did this in 4/1/23, so 2 years ago. The sides of this pot are actually bulging out. So again, fastest growing tree. You could repot this wisteria. If you have a wisteria, you could repot it every year. 2 years is a max. Again, as you would break a pot. You can actually see the sides of this pot bulging out. All right. So here is what wisteria roots look like after 2 years. So let me bend this over a little bit. It's solid. It was actually, as you can see, it was bending the plastic pot.
Yeah.
2 years. The following tree that you're about to see is the main reason behind this video. Even though it was almost the size of a person's thigh, we were trying to get the radial roots to continue to grow. However, as you can see by the photos, probably 40% of the extra growth that could have went to growing lateral roots went to the bottom of the pot and just continued to circle. What this really showed was we should have only allowed this tree to be in this pot for 2 years instead of 3. What a difference it would have made had we have just gone 2 years instead of 3.
Hits keep coming like the beats we drop. Oh yeah, telling stories, cut the fake, can't stop. Oh no, living out loud, every move is bold. Keeping it 100, that's the goal. Lay it down, each moment we own, baby. Authenticity.
This is a little bit older dwarf pomegranate. Not a super old dwarf pomegranate, but a dwarf pomegranate nonetheless. And as you can see, it's a happy little tree. Anyway, so on a dwarf pomegranate, they're a little bit slower growing. We repot these every 3 to 4 years, and it wouldn't hurt you to go 4 years. One of the ways that we tell if a tree is really secure in the pot is I just walk up and go like this. And if the whole pot is able to be picked up, that tree is secure. This has actually been in that pot for about 3.5 to 4 years, so it's nice and secure. It's ready to be repotted. So this is a pretty cool little crepe myrtle that I've had for a while. Still working on the design. Anyway, so the crepe myrtle, you could repot just like the wisteria, at least here in the garden. Probably a max of 2 years. You could even repot this every year. They grow so fast. Here in our garden, in our environment, and what we do and how we fertilize, etc., etc.